It's dawn in Syria, and the skies are ablaze, not from the sunrise, but from the relentless firepower of warring factions. Rebel groups advance on a crucial highway, defying all odds against a government equipped with Russian tanks and warplanes. Families hide in basements, children clutching memories of a peace they barely remember. This isn't just another war, it's a theater where history, geopolitics, and human resilience converge. Today, we take you through the labyrinth of Syria's civil war, unraveling the events that shaped it, the key players involved, and the broader implications for the Middle East and beyond. From ancient legacies to modern-day chaos, buckle up. It's a journey you won't forget. The setup, how it all began. Syria wasn't always synonymous with war and destruction. For centuries, it was a cradle of civilization, home to ancient cities like Damascus and Aleppo, thriving along the Silk Road. But beneath its historic grandeur lay a simmering pot of ethnic, religious, and political tensions. Fast forward to 2011. Inspired by the Arab Spring sweeping through Tunisia and Egypt, Syrian citizens took to the streets, demanding reforms. The Assad regime, entrenched in power since 1970, responded with violence. The protests, once peaceful, erupted into rebellion. But why did Syria's unrest spiral so much further than its neighbors? Geopolitical powder keg. Unlike Tunisia or Egypt, Syria's strategic location made it a geopolitical prize. Sharing borders with Turkey, Iraq, Jordan, Israel, and Lebanon, it was a chessboard where regional and global powers played high-stakes games. As protests morphed into armed conflict outside, players rushed in. The stage was set. Iran and Russia threw their weight behind Bashar al-Assad, viewing him as a linchpin in their influence over the Middle East. The United States, Turkey, and Gulf nations like Saudi Arabia supported various rebel factions, each with its own agenda. ISIS, a name synonymous with terror, seized the chaos as an opportunity to rise. But how did this chaotic mosaic of alliances, betrayals, and rivalries turn Syria into one of the deadliest wars of the century? Let's dive deeper. The confrontation. The battle for Syria. The key players. The conflict splintered Syria into zones of control. Understanding these factions is key to unraveling the chaos. The Assad regime, red zones. Backed by Russia and Iran, Assad's forces control the heartland of Syria, including Damascus and Aleppo. Russian air power, Iranian militias, and Hezbollah fighters play critical roles in keeping Assad in power. The Syrian Democratic Forces, yellow zones. Dominated by Kurdish fighters, the SDF controls northeastern Syria, rich in oil reserves. Backed by the US, they have been instrumental in defeating ISIS, but remain caught between Turkish hostility and Assad's ambitions. The rebel forces, green zones. A patchwork of groups backed by Turkey and Gulf states, these factions operate primarily in the northwest. Their goals range from overthrowing Assad to countering Kurdish influence. ISIS, black pockets. Though diminished, ISIS remnants persist in desert regions, reminding the world that their threat is far from over. The turning point. The battle for Aleppo. One of the most pivotal moments in the Syrian civil war was the battle for Aleppo, 2012 to 2016. Once Syria's largest city and economic hub, Aleppo became a symbol of the war's brutality. Government forces, backed by Russian airstrikes, fought rebels in a siege that reduced the city to rubble. During this time, civilian casualties skyrocketed. Hospitals were bombed and food supplies dwindled. The world watched in horror, but diplomatic efforts failed to halt the carnage. Aleppo's fall in 2016 marked a major victory for Assad, but left an indelible scar on Syria's soul. Humorous reset. At this point, Aleppo was less a city and more a tragic game of who gets to bomb it today. Assad, Russia, rebels, everyone seemed to take turns. The weaponry. David versus Goliath. The asymmetry of the Syrian battlefield is staggering. Assad's forces fielded T-90 tanks, MiG-29 jets, and Russian artillery, making them a military juggernaut. The rebels, meanwhile, relied on captured Soviet-era weapons, improvised rocket launchers, and their trusty technicals, pickup trucks with mounted machine guns. One of the most fascinating elements? The role of drones. Turkey's Bayraktar TB2 drones transformed battles, giving rebels a fighting chance against Assad's superior firepower. But even as battles raged, another war unfolded in the shadows, a war for hearts, minds, and global influence. Who were the true winners and losers of this proxy conflict? The resolution. What lies ahead? The human cost: over 500,000 lives lost. Millions displaced. Cities like Raqqa and Homs reduced to unrecognizable ruins. Yet, amid the devastation, stories of resilience shine through. Families rebuilding homes, children attending makeshift schools, and grassroots organizations offering aid. The geopolitical fallout. The Syrian civil war reshaped the Middle East. Russia solidified its role as a power broker, securing a naval base at Tartus. Iran extended its influence through its Shia crescent. The U.S. faced criticism for its inconsistent strategy, oscillating between supporting rebels and withdrawing troops. Meanwhile, Europe grappled with the ripple effects, a refugee crisis that strained borders and fueled political tensions. The future of Syria. So, what does the future hold? Optimists hope for peace talks and reconstruction. Pessimists predict prolonged strife, with Syria remaining a battleground for proxy wars. The call to action, CTA. If today's journey through Syria's war has gripped your attention, you won't want to miss our next video, The Secrets Behind the Rise of ISIS. It reveals how extremist groups exploit chaos to gain power, and what the world can do to stop them. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a deep dive into history's most complex conflicts. This isn't just Syria's story. It's a mirror reflecting the struggles of a world grappling with power, ideology, and humanity. Until next time, stay curious and remember, history matters.